Okay, before we get on to the next section of the agenda, we have a couple chiefs that have to leave urgently for meetings at home and other commitments. So we have a resolution that's going to be on the table. It's support for the Wabautek Business Development Corporation's continued delivery of the Aboriginal Business Financing Program for Northeast Ontario. The mover of Chief Scott McLeod, and seconders Chief Patsy Corbier. So I'm going to read the whereases, and you should be getting a copy. Whereas the Wabautek Business Development Corporation is currently celebrating 30 years of service and investing in the Indigenous business spirit through more than $84 million in investments. Wabautek has been delivering the Aboriginal Business Financing Program throughout Northeast Ontario since 1992 to Indigenous entrepreneurs. Wabautek has also delivered the ABFP to First Nations and Indigenous entrepreneurs in Southern Ontario since 2013. Wabautek has successfully delivered the program through investing all available funds every year in Indigenous businesses, with the business clients achieving 94% business success rate. And the Wabautek successfully undergoing all program financial and compliance audits with respect to their program. A recently established organization known as Aboriginal Investment Corporation, comprised of the Métis Voyageur Development Fund, the Indian Agriculture Program of Ontario, and the Two River Community Development Corporation, are seeking to take over the delivery of the ABFP in Northeast and Southern Ontario, and the decision of whether or not to transfer the delivery of the ABFP from Wabautek to the Aboriginal Investment Corporation rests with the Board of Directors of the National Aboriginal Capital Corporation Investment. So therefore be resolved that we, the Anishinaabe Chiefs in Assembly, support the Wabautek Business Development Corporation in their efforts to continue to deliver the Aboriginal Business Financing Program for Northeast Ontario. And my understanding is Chief McLeod will be coming and speaking to that. Not out there? Maybe Chief Corbier, would you like to speak, or? Okay, here he comes. Is there copies going to be delivered to all the chiefs, please?
Oh, it's not in front of you yet? Okay. Oh, okay.
So I'm sorry, I didn't know the chiefs didn't have a copy. They're getting those right now.
Southern Ontario? Oh, yeah, Southern Ontario.
We got one, we're good.
Yeah,
You ready?
we're good.
Okay. Okay, so we, thank you for your patience. I know we wanted to address this before a couple of the chiefs had to leave. So I'm going to have,
Just amend it before you read it.
amendment.
It's going to end this Southern Ontario.
So, therefore be it resolved that we, the Anishinaabe Chiefs and Assembly, support the Wabatek Business Development Corporation in their efforts to continue to deliver the Aboriginal Business Financing Program for Northeast Ontario and Southern Ontario. That's an addition. So I can have Chief Scott McLeod up to discuss that, please.
Hello. Whoa. Miigwech. Wabatek has been working with our First Nation as well as many First Nations across the Anishinaabe territory for quite some time now. And we've always had a very good working relationship with them and the services that they provide to us. And I felt it was pertinent for us to support their efforts to maintain delivery of the services in the areas of the Anishinaabe territory, specifically the south, which is what is being challenged by another party to take over those services. So this resolution is pretty straightforward, and it's just calling for support to Wabatek to maintain delivery of their business services that they've been providing for the past few years.
Any questions for the chief? Questions been called? Any people all agree to this resolution? Hands, please. Any abstentions? Carried. Miigwech. Thank you. So next we're going to move on with the next section. Yes? Yes, we'll get the chiefs an amended copy. Table, if you could please get an amended copy to the chiefs. Thank you. So the next we're going to have Adrian, please come up, and she's going to do her presentation on the social section of the agenda. First being the child being well-being.
Yeah, just leave that up there for me so I...
Okay.
Yeah, miigwech. Okay. So, we're still moving forward, as you know. We are in negotiations with the federal government on the child well-being law. We're also in negotiations with the Ontario government, and we're doing really well with our progress. We've been discussing these issues with the province for the last 4 or 5 years. They've been a willing partner and supporting the Anishinaabe Nation and child well-being. I also wanted to, for those of you that may not have heard, I want to acknowledge the fact that the Family Wellbeing Program has been renewed. So all our 40 employees across the nation will continue their work, and I know some of them family well-being workers are here. So we did send out the notice to all the workers. I just wanted to let the chiefs know that very important program has been renewed, family well-being, so I'd like to thank the province for that. The Ministry of Children, Community and Social Services. Chimiwech. So then next, we're going to have Leanna Farr come up and talk about the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal. And just on the tribunal, about 2 weeks ago, your prevention dollars, you should have got an email from Indigenous Services Canada letting you know what your prevention allocation for child welfare, child well-being, and child welfare jurisdiction and initiatives is. So if you have any questions about your allocation, you can see myself or Lori Griffith, wherever she is, right there. She's the finance person, so might want to make friends with her. She knows what funding is available to each of your First Nations. So I'll ask Leanna Farr to come up to the podium.
Good morning. Giman Gimakwe. Wabashki Benisik Bisa Bisa Kwe Dijnakaz Tamagami Donchba Mangdodem. So I only have about 5 minutes to give you some quick updates here, but you have a briefing note in your package. And so it's titled Updates on the Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, CHRT, Caring Society versus Canada, tab 3. So if you could pull that out, please. I don't have a PowerPoint. I'm just going to bring you through what I think are the most important points for all of you to know for this topic. So the background's there on page 1. The Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, for those of you that don't know, we've been doing presentations on this at our Grand Council assemblies for quite some time now. On January 26, 2016, the CHRT, Canadian Human Rights Tribunal, had a decision finding that Canada's First Nations Child and Family Service Program is discriminatory. And it also found that the program actually incentivizes to remove First Nations children from their families. So it's a big issue. The CHRT set out a four-phase remedy process to try to remedy this discrimination. The first is immediate relief, midterm relief and reform, long-term reform, and also compensation for children harmed by these discriminatory practices. So that's for you, that information is there on page 1. So onto page 2, it explains there that the CHRT, the tribunal, has retained its jurisdiction over, since that decision was made back in 2016, so that it can oversee to ensure Canada is complying with its orders. And as many of you know, there have been many non-compliance orders against Canada since that original decision. And so that the tribunal is staying in place until, so that it can oversee these things. However, the CHRT's jurisdiction was scheduled to end March 31st, 2019, and the Chiefs of Ontario, they are a party to this case, and they have put forth a motion to the tribunal to retain that jurisdiction for a longer period of time. That hasn't been decided yet, so that's still ongoing, that motion. If you go down near the bottom of page 2, and I'm sorry, I just noticed I don't have page numbers on here, but this is on page 2. It talks about immediate relief and medium-term relief. And so this is until the long-term reforms to that program have been addressed. There's annual funding that goes to all of your communities, which is what Adrian was talking about, for prevention. And so it just explains a little bit about that there. Turning to page 3, up at the top, it starts with band rep services, reimbursements, and moving forward at actuals. So as part of the orders that were made, there was an order back in February 2018 from the tribunal ordering Canada to pay for First Nations band rep services in Ontario. And all of you, I'm sure we've been presenting on this quite a lot. Adrian's had teleconferences about this. We've put a lot of information out there at all our working group gatherings about this and whatnot. And so this explains more about that band rep funding, and it's for what you need. So whatever you need for your band reps, if you need more than one band rep, if your band rep needs an assistant to help them keep files and things like that, you can apply for that. For legal, if your band reps need training. So all of that, submit for all of that moving forward. And if you've paid that out of funding in the past, submit for that as reimbursements. And if you have any questions about this stuff after, I'm going to be here all day today and tomorrow. You can ask me or Adrian about this. And so there's some deadlines for that band rep funding, though. And so down at the bottom of that paragraph, I've mentioned the deadline periods there for the reimbursements. And for this fiscal year 2018-19. However, Chiefs of Ontario has submitted a motion on this as well to extend. They actually said they don't want any deadlines for this because our First Nations need to do this in an organized way, and it takes time. Moving on, Child and Youth Mental Health Services, there was an order about that, similar to the band rep order. That was back in February 2018 as well. And so the tribunal ordered that Canada must pay for child and youth mental health services, reimbursements going back to 2016 and moving forward at actuals. And so if your First Nation has paid funding out of your various, and it doesn't matter if it's come from another pot of funding, not your own source revenues, they can't penalize you for trying to get reimbursed for that. Anything that you can think of that links to child and youth mental health, submit it for reimbursements and submit it for proposals moving forward. Cultural programming, bringing kids out on the land, anything that you can think of that will better a child and youth's mental health. It's not just, it's through Jordan's Principle. It's, this funding goes through Jordan's Principle, but it is not just for strictly physical or health. It's for social, it's for education. If there's special needs in your schools, that kind of thing can be funded under this child and youth mental health services. And I want to, I have a couple notes here. I just want to mention that this hasn't been boxed in for status only. And so if you have non-status citizens there, this can apply to them as well. I've heard there's some issues with that. We've had some reports from some of our workers in the communities that they might have denials or trouble with that, but report that to us. We have some Jordan's Principle coordinators, and I have their names and their contact information in here, and if you're having any issues with denials or time-wise trying to get these reimbursements and whatnot, then please report that, because that information goes up the line to the Chiefs of Ontario who are at the tribunal and trying to deal with those types of issues. I'm running out of time here. I think I'm over time. There's no deadlines to submit for the child and youth mental health ones right at this moment. So that's in there. Long-term reform. At the Chiefs of Ontario, they have what's called the technical table, tripartite technical table, and we're all at that table. Adrian has me attending those meetings a lot. She attends. So we have an Anishinaabe representation there, and that's looking at the long term, how this program is going to be reformed for the long term. And there's the Ontario Special Study that's coming in that's working on that. And so there's a consultant group that's been working on that really hard, and it's still ongoing. You should have more updates on details at the AOCC next week, I believe it is. But what the Anishinaabe Nations putting forward is that it needs to focus on prevention versus protection. It needs to move from protection to prevention. And the communities, our First Nations, need those prevention dollars and the proper prevention capacity to be able to move that from a protection to prevention. And I think that's it. So I don't know if anybody has any questions, but I'll be around for questions all day today and tomorrow as well. I think we have, so should I just call Stan up?
Stan, yeah.
Okay. Oh, a question?